Hey guys, it's Mike with another Guild Guardians video. Today we're going to jump into the building blocks for the first time and see what we can do in there. So I did go into my champions. I took all of my gear off of my main champions and moved it over to build a rare team. I figured I need a healer, so I started with Ferulia, got her dialed in up to level 140 with the gear that I've been using on my, I believe that's been the gear that mostly that was on my flicks. And then we did get her outfitted with a pair of attack crossbow because her heals are based on attack. So Nature's Gift, she's going to be healing them for 620% of her attack power. And then on the healer here, it is also 500% of attack over 5 seconds. So we do want to build her with attack. Ideally, we have her with attack boots, and we do. So that worked out great. So those heals should be coming in strong. An alternative and potential alongside would be Andronica. She actually has a passive where everybody gets lifesteal, so they get 10% of the damage they deal as health back to them. So I'm going to start with this lineup, and depending on how survivable we are, that might be somebody that I bring in. I did pick up this founder character. It was part of that 4,000 soul stones. That if you have a founder character on your account plus the other 8 rares, that you're going to get some reward. So I'm waiting to see if that actually comes in or not, but I did pick him up. He's a tank, and I actually picked him up just because I thought he looked cool. But then as I'm looking at his kit, I think he's going to do some work for me here. So he plunges his longsword into the ground, causing an AoE blast that deals 200% attack, and then freezes enemies that are nearby for 2 seconds. And then his passive is Ice Armor. The lower his HP, the more defense he gains, up to 40% additional, and we actually get up all the way up to 80%. So the lower his health gets, the more durable he becomes. So that could be a pretty good tank option there. We did get him outfitted with some of the gear that fits him that I've been using on my Tuskrog. And then we put him in a defense Flix's necklace here to get a little extra defense on him, just because he's up there as the tank doing tanky things. So as our damage dealer in the back row, we grab Batu. I don't know that he's the best damage dealer in the rares, but when I started the game, I remember him doing quite a bit of damage, so I figure we'll start here. One thing to note is, at least from what I read, the score that you get is not going to be cumulative. It's going to be high score. So it kind of encourages you to try different things every day. It sounds like we get 2 tickets per day, and so you could try different things and see how it goes. But with Batu, we've got him dialed in with my Darizda's gear, and then high attack power, as high as we could get his attack. I don't think I had attack boots, which is the same problem I have with Darizda. I really need to get some attack boots, but I'm still figuring it out. Zol is an Umbrus, and I believe there is a perk to as many Umbruses as you can bring in. He's the only rare Umbrus in the game as far as Core 1. There might be some founders and some other ones I'm not aware of, but he's the only one I could find. So I figured I'd get that extra 5%. If he starts doing kind of bad, I might sub him in for Andronica or somebody else doing damage to see how it goes. But I think as a mage, he should be a good back row damage dealer. His kit is Forbidden Magic. He's going to deal 250% of attack and silence him for 3 seconds. So that actually helps out quite a bit in crowd control. And then your passive here is he increases his skill damage by 20%, and we're going to get all the way up to 60. So theoretically, he could hit pretty hard, but we'll see. And then I decided to run a 2 tank up front with Toketun. This ability here kind of got me interested. His passive is his magic resistance to 50%. So all the magic damage coming in, he's going to resist half of it. And then his active is for the next 7 seconds, he's going to reflect all physical damage received from the front to the back onto the true damage. So I don't know if he actually takes this physical damage and reflects it, or if he just reflects it. So we're going to find that out, but it seemed like it was a pretty interesting part of his kit as a tank. So really the only way to hurt him is with magic damage for that time, and he's going to take half damage on that as well. Stunning blow is every 4 seconds. Toketun energizes his next basic attack, causing it to stun for 2 seconds. So that stunning blow is going to help us out with a little bit of crowd control. but basically getting a stun on whoever he's attacking every 4 seconds for 2 seconds. So that's going to be pretty good. His gear leaves a lot to be desired. I only had one set of tier 6 gear, and so I actually forged these 2 pieces of tier 5 gear and then leveled him up the best I could. So he might end up falling out of the team just because I don't have gear to put on him right now. We did put him in high defense because he is a tank. He's going to be up there tanking up some damage. So we got him in high defense, and we tried to get him. We have attack boots is what we got. So that's probably less than ideal. But he is in pretty decent gear. If it could get leveled up, I think he'd be okay. But I am out of resources. So I did also get all of them enlightened to level 5, which is their maximum enlightenment level as a rare, except for the Founder Guardian. But he is Radiance level 3, but he's only enlightened to level 4. So that's just something to keep in mind on him, but I think he's probably going to be doing a lot of work for me. So I did outfit him up to 160, and then I have 140 on Ferulia, 140 on Batu, 140 on Toktan, mostly because his gear was so weak. I decided to bring his power up a little bit, and then 135 on Zol. Assuming he's a back row mage, hopefully he's not taking a lot of damage. So that's what we got on the rare team. We're going to jump into building blocks and see. I wanted to go through this with my main account first, and that way I can have a better idea of what I'm doing with the free-to-play to give you guys a little more guidance if I can. But we're definitely going to be putting, I don't even know this guy's name, Calix up in the front with Toktan. And then in the back, I think we'll go Batu, and then Ferulia, and then Zol. And I think that right there is going to be our lineup. And then we get the bonus for the one Umbral character we have with Zol. So it starts you out in a camp. It kind of looks like it's going to be very similar to an endless battle. So we probably want to, let's see here. We probably want to avoid the potential curse that comes with that. So I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to meditate, get a rare rune, start this thing off. At this point, I am kind of assuming it is kind of an endless battle, but we will, as we get further into it, we'll check it out. So when enemy's HP is below 25%, they gain 15% damage and attack speed. So they're probably not going to be there very long because they're almost dead. And then enemies that have less than 25% gain a shield equal to 15%. So this is going to just shield them up. We'll go with that. I think either one of those would probably be not super detrimental. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens here. So we're in room 1. It doesn't have a bar up top, so we're probably just going till we die. So we'll go through the first couple levels here and kind of get a feel for it. We are one-shotting everybody, so it has a very similar feel to the endless mode currently. I do like to accumulate these in the off chance they give us the opportunity to skip curses. When you do get 3 really bad curses, that could really save your run. So frontline tanks get 10% HP. We already have that. We're going to go with full belly here. What's this guy? Alright, Ice Shield. When an enemy takes fatal damage, they retain 1. Oh, see, this one would be one you want to avoid. If you can. Obviously, we can't. But when they take their fatal damage, they're going to maintain 1 HP and then become invincible for 5 seconds. So they're going to get to do an extra 5 seconds of damage on you, which, as we've seen, is an eternity of time when you're in the middle of a battle. So that's very unfortunate. This room's probably easy enough. It's not going to be a big issue, but damage enemies receive is reduced by 15. So this one's a little rough too, because it's basically going to cut your attack power down by 15%. So we're early enough that these rooms are probably going to be very easy. So it does give us the option here to skip the curse. We don't have enough coins yet, but that is good to know. These are all pretty okay. I mean, none of them are good, but they're not the worst ones that you can get. So this is kind of fun. So we're up against a boss. It's a single target here, and we'll see how fast we go through her. So this almost has more of like a rush feel. Took her down to 0 health. She's holding on for... Oh, it's because of her immunity, so she's immune for 5 seconds. So she'll die as soon as her immunity wears off. There she goes. Okay. I thought it was going to go down and then come back up and like it does in the rush battle, but I was mistaken. So there's some more coins there. We have 4 of our players are keepers, so that's probably a really good one. I did not pay attention to who is. So that'll be something that I'll have to do better on as we have this event going for the next 4 or 5 days. So we're gonna get to run this probably 10 times. On this guy here, I never really know what to do. If you toss coins in, I think you do get like 5% healing or something like that. You can also sacrifice a random or epic rune, but it's random. I chose them intentionally, so we're not going to do that either. I think we're just going to leave. All right, well, this is super weird. I have never seen it where it makes you do this, so that's kind of unfortunate. So we lost our Keeper Focus, which was a really good rune, and we're going to increase our attack by 15%, which isn't too bad. I think of these two, this one was the one where they gain a shield, and this one was the Bastion, where they actually receive less damage. I think we're powerful enough. Either one of them doesn't really matter, but the less damage is probably going to be less effective just because it doesn't give them more HP. It's very unfortunate we lost that rune of the Keeper with the crit rate and crit damage. That would have been very helpful, so hopefully we get that back. That was very unfortunate for the Fortune rune. So let's see, we'll keep pressing on. Full belly. Hey, we got our Keeper Focus back. I would like to pick up this full bellied, but we're gonna pick this one up, seeing how we lost it. We got that invincibility after we kill them, they maintain 1 health, so that's something to remember in this room. And it is the same boss. So we will probably take her out quickly. We're going to grab Graveyard because that's practically a freebie. And we are going to go. So she's already dead. So had she not had the invincibility, she would have already been dead with all those first hits. But I think the way this is playing out is a lot like Endless. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce out. And then I'll bring you back in when we start to struggle. All right, so we are on to room 32 here. I have been collecting these stones. I have not used any. Inhibition, Exhaustion, and Bone Spurs are the worst curses that I think. Now, of the 3, I would take Exhaustion first. Then I would take Inhibition. Because once you take Inhibition, you're pretty much not using any of your special abilities anymore. And then Exhaustion resets your attack at the beginning of battle, which essentially is almost the same thing as 10 seconds without, but it is a little better, I think. But the Bone Spurs is definitely the worst, because once you start reflecting damage on yourself, that's when you start to die. So that's the last rune or last curse I ever try to get, and then I use those skip the curse as we get further on. I think we're kind of getting to that point now where it's going to basically limit the curses I can get. Once you've actually received all of the curses, it will force you to take 1 or 2, and then you basically get stuck with Inhibition and Reflect Damage, and then you're just a sitting duck until you die. So that's when I start skipping the curses, just to push that back as far as I can. This team composition is working out really well. I think you could easily replace Calyx with Yalmar, or if you're using Tok'tan, you could probably replace him with Herc or a warrior or something like that. I think Zol would definitely be replaceable with Andronica or another back row damage dealer, or even a Herc. A warrior that's going to charge up there and just help out that front line. I put him in there for that 5% increase. One thing I've really been enjoying is after the battle, Calyx does this little shimmy and shake. I just think it's super funny. I just imagine, like, if you're in battle and somebody took you out and then that's what they did, it just seems entirely disrespectful. So you'll see it when we finish up this battle, but it just makes me laugh every time I see it. It's pretty ridiculous, but he is a fun champ. He seems to be doing some work for me. He got a little shimmy, just a little shimmy. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I think it's funny. But we're going to grab as much crit rate as we can get. That's kind of my goal as we go through here. Just make sure that we're doing as much damage as possible. When we break down how the team is working, Batu typically is doing a majority of the damage, followed by actually Ferulia and Calyx and Tok'tan are kind of fairly similar. And Zol, when he does damage, does a lot of damage, but a lot of times he doesn't really do anything. So it's kind of interesting when you break that down. We're probably going to grab that, but let's take a look and see. So in this battle, he actually did a majority of the damage alongside Calyx. But typically Batu is going to be our main damage dealer. But we are going to grab that, get an extra 5% crit rate. And we got that invincibility once we kill them. But we're going pretty deep into this run, so I'm not sure, you know, where records are and all that stuff. But I feel like probably right around room 36, 38, you're going to be forced to take some of these really bad inhibitions, exhaustions. I still can take one that's not, so I'm going to hold on to those. My health is looking good. Ferulia's heals basically can one-shot completely heal anybody, which is a good place to be. So Toktan took some serious damage on that hit there. So there we go. We got a heal on him and brought him right back to full. Probably be skipping the runes or the curses in this one, depending on what they are. But I think we've whittled it down to just be the worst. So now we only have two. We have inhibition and exhaustion. So we're actually just going to skip this curse this time. We're going to go through all of these dungeon coins until we have to take one of them. And hopefully we can get a few extra rooms done and just increase our score just a little bit higher. Ideally, you don't want to get killed with dungeon coins in your pocket because they don't do it. They just reset. So I might have waited too long, but oh man, Calyx barely held on to that. All right, you deserve the shimmy on that one, buddy. Good job. So now we're running out of runes for us to pick from too. So this is interesting. When we sacrificed the adept, I had two adepts. It was 35%. So I had gotten the 25 and I had gotten the 35, and it took both of them. So it didn't just take the one, which makes that sacrificing runes even worse. So that's pretty awful. Here we go again. We're going to be invincible. We're probably going to die. But we'll see how this works out. This boss is getting progressively harder, and she's hitting a lot harder. Probably she doesn't move forward, so we'll just keep this the way it is. We're going to go ahead and skip this again, and I think we can skip one more time. In this dungeon in the, what's it called? Building blocks. I have not seen the bone spur with the reflection of damage. So that is kind of nice that that we didn't get there. I think we are going to barely... Oh, she got 5 seconds of immunity. We killed her. We killed her, but she's alive. It's ridiculous. All right. We got through room 40, made 92, 95. Let's take a peek at those leaderboards, see where we ended up. All right, so I think I figured a little bit out here. So just like in endless mode, you have this novice, and you're going to be moving up to medium. You're probably going to score more points. So my guess is they have used their tickets for the day, and I think you can actually buy 2 more. So that's starting to make a little more sense. I was like, man, they're not that far in front of me. I don't know how they're doing 10 times my damage. So we're going to go ahead and move up to medium, run it back, see how we do, and I'm going to purchase both of those tickets as well, and I'll bring you back in at the end of each of those battles just to show you how far we got. All right, so on medium we made it to room 38, and we got about 17,000 points. So I want to take a quick peek out here and see what that does for our overall ranking. So yeah, so it doesn't accumulate. It's just going to be your top score. So once you've unlocked the next level, you pretty much just kind of let that battle die until you get to the level that you're going to be fighting on. So we're going to go ahead. Now we've unlocked high, and so we're going to press on to here, and in order to unlock that we have to get to room 20. So as long as we get to room 20 on high, we can basically end the battle and move on to expert just to save the time. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring you back in when we're at the end of that battle. All right, so we just wrapped up difficulty level high. We got to room 32, was killed by the boss. We got 28,000 points. After going through this and realizing that we're not accumulating score, there really isn't a need to purchase these extra tickets. You're going to have, I think, until the 15th, so you'll be able to advance. For the sake of this video, I'm going to press on because I think at this level, we're at expert now. I guess it'll open up master, which is probably where I'll be fighting because that's where I fight endless, but potentially maybe legendary. But I'll give it a shot when I get there, but we do have 5 days to get there. So we're going to keep pressing on with the same team. One thing I was going to say, if you are inclined, you could use NFT copies of each of these, and then when you're enlightening them, feed other NFT copies into them to get their radiance levels up. If you were so inclined to do that, it would boost your stats quite a bit in order to do that. But I think that even being entirely free to play, like coming back, and I haven't even got to where I typically battle yet. I'm already down in 357. So I think I'll probably be somewhere around 60,000 points or so, would be my guess. But I don't honestly know. That's kind of why I want to press this on. But I'm assuming I'd probably make pretty close to the top 100. And the only player on my team is that Calyx, which I just picked up for that interesting event they were doing. So it's kind of a unique time. I think it was kind of cool that they led us in the right direction with that by telling us that we needed a founder guardian that was rare on the account. It was kind of prepping us for this event without necessarily telling us this event was coming up. So it was kind of cool that worked out in that regard. But this team I'm actually pretty impressed with. I do think that when I get to fighting the difficulty level that I'm going to fight, I am going to try to take Zol out and bring in Andronica and see if that lifesteal and the added healing just makes me a little more survivable. But once I get to the difficulty level that I'm going to be fighting, at that point it makes sense to change the team up and see if I can find a better combination. Right now I'm basically just advancing through the lower levels, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I will press this on till the end. I'll bring you back in and we'll see where we get. All right, so we died in room 28, got to room 27, so we opened up that next battle. All right, so that did open up Master, so we'll go ahead and fight that tomorrow. I don't think going through your rubies right away is the right move, just because you're going to have one run that counts. So if you're kind of working through these rooms and you're kind of figuring out what your team is, as long as you're beating level 20, you're opening up the next room. And if you did 2 a day, within 3 days, you'd have all of these open. So, and the event's going for 5 days. So you should have 2 days on the back end of that to run 4 or 5 different tickets. Or at that point, you might buy with rubies to have a couple extra chances. One thing I wanted to say before we sign off here is every day you're probably going to be moving resources back and forth from these champions. If you do what I did and do the bonehead thing, it makes it a lot harder. So let's say, for example, my Calyx, I want to move all this stuff over to my Tianlong because he was also on level 160. If I reset him right now, instead of resetting all of those champions, I can go find my Tianlong somewhere in here. He'll be there somewhere. There he is. And then when I go in here, I can click autofill and it'll take him, apparently I had some extra scrolls on me, but it'll take him right to level 160. So instead of bringing them all out and you're just clicking and holding to get this, you know, if I want my Tuskgrog back at level 140, I'd be sitting here holding this for probably almost a minute straight for each champion. But if I do it this way, it's going to be a little better. Now, I'm not sure where those extra 5 levels came from. I think it was just rewards from doing the event. But I can bring this back to 160 and get Tianlong done that way. But you can see how long this takes. Like, just to move him down 5 levels is pretty obnoxious. And he's already on level 1, so I actually need to move him down 6 levels, so he's only going up 159 levels. And then as you do that too, when you get to 159, you want to go all the way back to 0. Basically go back to 158 and then click it back over. That's going to free up the most scrolls to move on to somebody else. Because right now it's taking 297,000 experience to level him up. And that's about 2 levels at a lower level. So we're at 160 here. We're going to go to 159 and then all the way down because we're at 285,000 scrolls there. So we're going to bring it all the way down to basically 0. And then we'll click him back over. Those are already used. Okay, so we'll click him right back over. Boom, now he's at 159, level up. Now I have the most scrolls I have to move on to other people. But if you do it one by one, it will be significantly easier than going through and just resetting everybody. But then every day you're going to have to rebuild these rares. So you're going to be going in and enlightening them and so forth. If you are using NFT copies, the NFTs will not become unenlightened. Once you enlighten them, it's fixed. So that is blessing and a curse, I guess, because if you want to pull the resources out later because you don't want to hold on to the character, it doesn't really make sense to have it fixed at Enlighten level 5. That being said, if you're using Radiance characters or NFT characters, you could bring up your Radiance levels and increase your stats. I'm not really there yet until we get into whatever battle mode I'm going to be fighting. I'll start playing around with lineup and with stats and hopefully be able to get Toktun's gear leveled up a little bit. At least to level 3 or 6 ideally, because he is the first one to die every time. So, but as we have 5 days to do this, I'm going to focus on him, hopefully get him into some tier 6 gear, and press on with that, or potentially take him out and go with somebody I have intelligence gear for. That might be something to play with as well. I can also bring his level up to 160 to just compensate for the lack of stats in his gear. So there's a couple things I can do to play, but we're just right now just clearing 20 levels of each room to move on to the next biggest one. So in that, I don't think we looked at it, but on the rankings here in the last battle, I got up to 48,000, so I'm up to 168. I definitely will be fighting the next level, moving to master, and then maybe legendary, but I doubt it. I don't even fight legendary on my with all of my legendary players and my epic players, which are enlightened significantly higher than level 5. So my guess is I'm probably going to be right here in the master category, but hopefully that will get me somewhere in the realm of 60 to 70,000 points as I fine tune my team, and that should probably get me in the top maybe 100 or so, although these folks are going to be bettering their teams too, so I guess almost maybe top 50. So that could be pretty good if I can get in the top 50. I'd be pretty happy with that. But we'll play around and see how it ends up, and I'll keep you updated as we go. I appreciate you spending the time with me today. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. It means the world to me. We are plugging away and working towards that 500 subscribers where we will be giving away an NFT character, and I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to seeing you next time.